Hello and welcome to the fifth video in the Leadership Speaks series. In this interview, I speak with Mr. Aseem Chauhan, Chancellor of Amity University. Considered as one of the world's leading education institutes, Mr. Chauhan is a truly inspiring business leader, having built world-class institutions with a vision to bring global education and teaching methods in India. Besides being an educator, Mr. Chauhan is also CEO of Amity Innovation Incubator and Amity Capital Ventures. Mr. Chauhan focuses on a significant portion of his time on promoting entrepreneurship for youth in India. He has received numerous awards for his leadership and citizenship, including being selected as one of the 100 champions of change by the Prime Minister of India. In his early career before Amity, Mr. Chauhan had a successful career in venture capital and strategic planning. In my interview, I found out that Mr. Chauhan left his very successful high-paying job as a venture capitalist to start a brand new career in education. I thought to myself that it must surely take greater courage to leave a successful career and follow our dreams. This interview is my most interesting leadership chat yet. It is full with relevant life lessons and examples that youngsters and early career seekers will find useful. So let's go right ahead and hear Mr. Chauhan's leadership story in the fifth episode of Leadership Speaks.
Good evening, sir. I'm Rehan Khaneja. Thank you for joining me and giving me this opportunity to be able to talk to you one-on-one. I would like to introduce to everyone that you're the Chancellor of Amity University. And with your permission, I would like to begin and ask you some questions.
Sure, Rehan. And before we begin, I congratulate you on your idea of interviewing people and learning. I think more youngsters should be doing this. So salute to you for your idea and initiative.
Thank you so much, sir. And my first question to you is, which college did you go to and what did you study?
Yeah, so I went for my university to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia in the US. I was born and raised in Germany. I was there 18 years. And from there, I went to the US for university. I only applied to particular programs. And this was a dual degree program between engineering and the Wharton School, so undergraduate business, called the Jerome Fisher Program in Management and Technology. And this interplay of technology and management was always very interesting to me. I exclusively applied to such programs and did my degrees then eventually in systems engineering, corporate finance, strategic management, and completed the coursework for a minor in mathematics also. But loved the journey.
Wow, that's so impressive. I mean, my dream school is also Wharton. I would like to go there for undergrad for business as well.
Well, when you are a little bit older, let's talk about that.
And so the field you're in currently, which is education, has it been your passion from the start or has it evolved from something?
I have always, from the beginning, liked to mentor people. I have from a young age enjoyed education. I like the opportunities that education brings and the transformation to lives. So I would say I have, if not education, always liked to work with people to help them develop. When I was in school in Germany, I worked on a project to build a school in Africa, in Botswana. And we did projects in Eastern Europe, in Poland and other countries. When I was at university, I was mentoring, kids from underprivileged backgrounds to help them in their education. So, if not education itself, I like to work with young people to help them become better and share experiences. So that has been part of my interest from the get-go.
That's amazing, sir. And did you know before going to college what you would be pursuing? Would you be pursuing a venture in the educational field? And did you choose your college subject major accordingly?
Not particularly. I knew that education was something I, had a passion for. In our family, we had started a foundation which was very early stage at the time. We have and had other businesses that may have been more mainstream for me to think about at that time. So there was not really a correlation between my eventual professional goals and what I wanted to do as a career and what I chose to study. I chose the subjects that excited me. I chose the areas that I thought would give a good foundation to build upon and give the right tools and skill sets to keep learning. And I went to a place that would give the opportunity to meet interesting people and to have that base to build upon. So no, there was no direct correlation that this is what I want to do, and therefore this is exactly what I will study. It so happened that in the journey, this is where I ended up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So I think life takes you different places and you don't know where you start and where you end. And
Yeah,
so,
no, you're right. In fact, and Rehan, in fact, I will tell you, before I came to join the family and spend my time in education, I actually was in private equity. So I did venture capital and leveraged buyouts in New York for a number of years. Enjoyed that, did relatively well in that. As a young person, made a lot of money. But then asked myself, what is the mission of life? One can keep making a lot of money, but is that the mission of life? And I decided that by working in education, by helping build education, I can have a bigger impact on others. And I eventually decided that that was a turning point for me in deciding my future path.
you're right, of course. And so, how did your specialization in college directly or indirectly help you in what you do today? And is that critical?
Yeah, no, so in some ways, today, for example, education is transforming a lot. And lot of the transformation happening in education and the way the landscape is going relates to innovation, relates to technology, relates to the management of technology to make the learning and the teaching process easier. Distance education, online education is being utilized to reach a much greater set of people than was available up to now. Lifelong learning, upskilling programs that are based on technology are being utilized. So, whereas I'm not doing the programming on my own, that would be maybe too much, but I'm able to understand how to manage innovation, how to bring innovation into the mainstream of a business, how to keep transforming a business through techno entrepreneurship. So I would say aspects of that have certainly been useful to me. But I would at the same time say that a big part of education is not only the tools and the skills that you learn, but really creating a framework to learn itself. And with the way the world is changing, with the way that professions and careers are changing, it's very difficult to really study a subject today that will not have transformed significantly within, not only years but months. So I think this foundation of learning and having a basis where you have the ability to keep learning and changing your own mindset and building on that is very important. And that is what I would recommend to all youngsters who are trying to decide what they want to do. Choose a subject you have a passion for, and then explore a broad range of ideas and areas that give you the ability to learn itself.
Definitely, sir. And I feel one of the biggest things today is that every child wants to go to an amazing university. And so I think everybody these days wants to go to university in the US. But what do you believe is the real difference in education and style of education between Indian universities and US universities?
Yeah, no, there are a lot of differences. And, historically, the difference has been from the fact that Indian universities have been rooted more in the UK system of education um, rather than the US system of education. And because of some of the constraints we have had in terms of government investment in education, and that continues to be a constraint to some degree, we have not been able to implement across the board in all institutions the best systems and pedagogies. As you must have heard, Rehan, we have had a system of rote learning, memorization,
Right.
as opposed to having a more flexible way of thinking. And for many years, that was also part of the university system. That, it was very rigid. You had to pick very early on what you really wanted to major in, what you wanted to study, as is the case sometimes in UK universities also, whereas the US university system allows you to come in with a more general approach and then choose later on in your education cycle what you actually want to major in. Indian universities are transforming incredibly quickly in a number of ways. So, for example, the choice-based credit system, and we at Amity were one of the first to introduce this before it became mainstream and mandated by the University Grants Commission and the Ministry of Education. We introduced flexible credit systems. We introduced majors and minors, what we had seen at universities abroad. We focused on high level of research, which did not exist so much at a lot of Indian universities. So filing of patents, publishing papers, getting funded grants from corporates and government agencies, spinning out patents to create ventures, incubating companies. So these are all aspects that have been very prevalent in the US system, which now a lot of Indian universities are beginning to adopt. But this flexibility has been at the heart of the difference between the US system and the Indian system. And a lot of it is now transforming here also.
Definitely. So I also believe that the Indian system is becoming much more flexible day by day. And so one quote that I really thought was quite different from anyone else that anybody said before is that Elon Musk once said that college is not for learning and that you can basically learn anything you want for free. So what is your opinion on a statement like this for youngsters like me?
Yeah. No, he is absolutely right. And one can learn so much these days. There are a lot of online programs. The internet has all the knowledge that you really need. So then why go to university? I would say for two reasons. Number one, not everyone is Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, who may not have had to go to university, although
It's 20.
Elon Musk also went to the University of Pennsylvania for some time, just by chance. But many people, do not have that idea of what they want to do and a business that they want to pursue from a very young age. They want to explore, and that exploration is meeting other people, creating that network of peers, that socialization which you get at university, which is so important. And many people like to have that degree which can get you a job that gives you a safety net so that, God forbid, if a venture that you're planning does not work out, at least you have other options in life. If you want to go to graduate school or get a PhD even, then you will need that piece of paper which tells you that you have a degree in hand. So it depends what you want to do. It depends how much safety and security you need in life. For some people like Elon Musk, and we admire such people, they don't need that. They are very comfortable with high levels of risk. And even if you lose everything, you're willing to build that up. Many entrepreneurs have that trait. But for the vast majority of people, it makes sense to have a little bit of security, to have some accredited program that you can say that this is what I have. Because the one thing no one can take away from you is your education. You can lose everything else, but your education is something that cannot be taken away. And therefore, I recommend that for a number of reasons beyond just what you learn, a formal education does make sense for the majority of people. But we all admire Elon Musk and his ilk for the courage they have to say that I don't need the traditional things that everyone else looks for.
Right, so definitely I think education is the most important and not everyone is an Elon Musk or a Steve Jobs. So one question I wanted to ask you is, what is one hobby you cherish and also feel in some way has helped you in being a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, one great hobby that I love is mentoring startups and investing in startups. Because of maybe of my venture capital background, or even before that, my interest in working with people to help them build. Even today, we have incubated hundreds of companies. We have accelerators across our campuses. We have invested in about 100 ventures through different platforms, including Amity Capital Ventures that we have. So that process of looking at startups, helping entrepreneurs, guiding entrepreneurs has helped me become an entrepreneur that is more thoughtful myself. To look at the pitfalls, the opportunities, never to become complacent, knowing that the incredible ideas and the incredible energy that is around the corner in youngsters like you keeps me up at night, knowing that if one does not keep moving, one is actually moving backwards. So I would say that my hobby and passion of working and mentoring startups has actually helped me become a better entrepreneur myself.
Wow, that's amazing. That's the most unique answer I've gotten till now. I think everybody either says golf or reading. And so I also wanted to ask you, what is your favorite book and which one do you recommend from my age group?
Yeah. So I would say read. There are so many. I love reading, by the way. So there are an incredible number of books, and I will email you, Rehan, a reading list that eventually I want you to get through. But let me pick one. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey was a book when I read when I was maybe your age or 1 year older. And throughout my life, it has given me lessons again and again that I can go back to. I had the pleasure of meeting Stephen Covey, and I could discuss with him his thoughts. So that is a book, and the 7 Habits still hold true today. They are a very good set of basic ideas to follow. So I would recommend you read that if you have not read. But keep a passion for reading in life. I know it's difficult because with so much information in podcasts and internet, and one can read in small snippets, but there is nothing really to replace a good book. So I will send to you a reading list that I would love for you to pursue sometime.
I will definitely read the book. So, and I think my last and most important question that I really wanted to ask you was that what is your number one tip for youngsters like me who wish to be entrepreneurs when they grow up?
Yeah, right. So there are a number of things I tell. Being in education, I speak to youngsters all the time. If I had to pick the number one thing that you should remember is keep learning. Read as much as you can. Talk to people like you're doing now. The opportunities are so vast and so fast changing that if you keep learning, you will find that one brain. What happens is you look at 20 ideas, and there is one thing that will click in your mind. And this happens to me, that, it is an idea that you then have such a burning desire to pursue that you cannot eat, you cannot sleep until you have done that idea. But sometimes it takes time to find that idea. Too many people get stuck with one thing, they start it, but I would say the more you read, the more you learn, the more you explore, the more you just look around you what is happening, you will then find that one thing which becomes the passion of your life, that becomes the one thing that you are going to do and change the world with. So do not settle for a small idea. Keep looking until you find that idea that is such a burning desire for you that the world will change because you pursue it. So keep learning, keep looking, keep exploring, and find that one thing which truly resonates.
Of course, thank you so much for the amazing advice, and I will definitely keep it in mind for the rest of my life.
And that concludes my chat with Mr. Aseem Chauhan, Chancellor of Amity University. This interview had so much for me to learn and get inspired by. Here are 2 of my main takeaways from his amazing leadership journey. First, rote learning of techniques is less important than developing a habit of self-learning. The techniques we learn today will quickly get outdated, but if we focus on self-learning, we can stay ahead in a fast-changing world. So a big part of education is not only to learn skills of trade, but to create a launch pad for us to continue learning new things in life. And second, the one thing no one can take away from you is your education. Formal education can be a source of getting a job, While learning from the internet and free sources are lifelong habits, which can be very valuable for success, having a college degree is our safety net that allows us to take greater risks and give us confidence to pursue things that interest us rather than only work for income. As after every chat, I'll be releasing a follow-up blog and key takeaways and learnings from each episode. Please view my blog for more. You can share your opinion in the comment section below. This is the 5th in a series of my interviews with business leaders and people who have achieved success in their life. My goal is to learn from their experience and to find out what choices they have made in their lives that contributed to their success today. If you enjoyed watching this episode, please do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll be releasing my next Leadership Speaks podcast very soon. Till then, think positive, have big goals, and focus on the road ahead.